All right, everybody, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. You're in the right place, and we titled this Live Like a Champion in Retirement. If you'll bear with me for the next few minutes, I'm going to go through and show you exactly how I turned 8,000 into 1.3 million and how I even helped my parents to live a better, more fruitful retirement. What you first see on your screen right now is kind of a shocking statistic from Charles Schwab. It estimates that individuals need to save $230,000 for every 1,000 that they need in monthly retirement income. And that only about 31% of working Americans have saved 100,000 or more for their total retirement. So as an example, if you wanted $1 million in the bank, that would give you approximately 4,000 a month off retirement. And that's not really a lot to speak of. Now, the average Social Security benefit for a retired worker, if you look in the little green circle down in the middle there, it's $1,230 a month. I pay more than that for my boat slip just to park my boat. So if you're going to try to retire with some type of nice retirement, I don't think Social Security is going to get you where you want to go. What you see here is a picture of my family, and what we're going to talk about here today is building wealth for multiple generations, not just you, but for your kids and grandkids. If you look at the bottom right, that's my dad down there, and then that's me, Rick Warner, on the left, and that's my son in the background, Austin. And to date, Austin started his savings and his program, just like what I'm going to show you here today, when he was 13. He's now 19 and probably has more money in the bank than most Americans do at the age of 19. So let me show you how this actually kind of got started. My mom and dad were the greatest parents in the world, probably like most of our parents. But the problem was they weren't wealthy, and they couldn't teach me to be wealthy because they weren't wealthy. But they did teach me how to be a good person, and my dad was a great chiropractor, and he was my chiropractic mentor, but he didn't have a wealth mentor, nor did I. So let me show you what it took me a while to figure out, but look at this slide here. If you look on the bottom left, it starts with 0, and then the purple goes out to approximately 30 years where the purple stops. That's where my mom and dad had saved. Over a 30-year period, they saved up approximately $700,000 because they had told me that if you work hard and save your money, you'll be okay at the end of the day. Well, I found out that's not really true. It's not about working hard, it's about working smart. And I can't blame my parents because, I mean, who taught them to be wealthy, right? They had taught me what they had been taught by their parents, and that was to work hard, save your money, and at the end of the day, well, then you'll have something to show for it. Now, what I want you to see is the green. The green on top of the purple is my income. I took 8,000 and turned in 1.3 million in 3 years. That's what you're seeing on the green. That's because instead of working hard, I worked smart. And that's what we're going to go over today. I'm going to teach you how to work smart and what's required. Now, don't feel too bad for my parents because if you look in the kind of gold section on the right, we took that 700,000 and went from 700 to a little over 2 million in less than 5 years. So they took 30 years to get to 700 and we got them in less than 5 years to over 2 million. Now you have a choice. That's the beauty of this. You can do like my parents did and work hard for the next 30 years for 700,000, or how about an opportunity to turn 8,000 to 1.3 million or more if you just take the time to learn some specialized knowledge. Now let's take this next slide that you see here. This makes no sense to anybody but myself, but this hangs in my office right next to my computer. And in the left-hand side, you'll see it says 1970, $5 mowing the yard, and then right after that, you'll see $350 for washing the bus. This was actually on the back of an envelope. This is kind of the ledger that my mom would keep for me, and it showed that if I worked hard, here's the money I would make. And that's because that's all my mom knew. She didn't realize that if you had specialized knowledge, that taking that information and turning it into working smart instead of hard, that you'll become much wealthier. Now, I took that same principle that my parents said about working hard and saving your money, and I went and became an air traffic controller. Now, it was the same principle as mowing yards or washing the buses. I just got paid a little more money, but the problem was I was still trading my time for money, still doing the same thing, working hard, trying to save my money so I had something at the end of the day. Then I went to school to play doctor to become a chiropractor like my dad. And again, my dad was a wonderful chiropractor and really gave me a great chiropractic mentorship. But again, it was the same principle. I was still stuck working to make money instead of my money working for me. And it wasn't until I became an aircraft business owner and building aircraft that I understood what that meant about having your money work for you. And then I also had an MRI center that ran 24 hours a day. Same thing. We made our money work for us. So what I want you to understand out of this example is that it takes specialized knowledge. And when you have the specialized knowledge, then your income is going to go up tremendously because your money starts working for you instead of you working for your money. So as my specialized knowledge increased, that's when I became wealthy. You see, wealth is realized through specialized knowledge. That's the trick, folks. So I hope you got a pencil and paper and write that down, because here's the next thing I want you to see. There is a book by Napoleon Hill called The Laws of Success. There are 16 laws. Now, in the limited time that we have here today, I'm going to go over 6 of those. Number 1, write this down, is a mindset group. Now, take for a moment and think. If you hung around rich people all the time, or you hung around poor people all the time, which do you think you're going to be? You are a product of your environment. So if you hang around with poor people, 9 out of 10 times you're going to be poor. If you hang around with rich people, again, 9 out of 10 times you're going to be wealthy. It's just the way it works. So let's look at these 6 things out of the 16 lessons. And by the way, if you'd like a copy of this book, I'll show you how to get a copy of it free at the end of the class here. So number 1, write down, we want to do a mastermind group. Number 2, you've got to have a burning desire. You've got to have that burning desire to do whatever it is that you want to do. A burning desire, that persistence over resistance, will get you through anything, regardless if you have any type of barriers in front of you. You got to have that burning desire. Number 3 is a specialized knowledge. That's what we're going to share with you today. I'm going to give you the specialized knowledge that took 8,000 to 1.3 million, and that was 20 years ago, folks, and we haven't looked back since. Number 4 is discipline. Number 5 is being decisive. And number 6 is a big one. You've got to take action. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 is the mastermind group. I want you to look on the left-hand side, and you're going to see a slide there. If you can read down at the bottom, from left to right, you've got Henry Ford, who everybody knows from Ford Motor Company. You got Thomas Edison, great inventor, Warren G. Harding, President of the United States, and Harvey Firestone, who makes all the tires. Now, do you think hanging with those guys, you might have been in the know? You may have had some proper information, some specialized knowledge. That's why these people were successful. Now, let's look on the right-hand side. This is just as applicable today as it was when Napoleon Hill wrote the book back in the 1920s. From left to right, you got Warren Buffett. In the middle, you got Bill Gates. And on the right, you have Brian Bridges. Some of you may know him as a rapper of Ludacris. But what's the point of all of these guys have in common? It's their mastermind group. And that's what's extremely important. All of those guys have a burning desire. They have specialized knowledge. They're extremely disciplined. They're very decisive, and they take action. And those are the keys. So let me ask you this. Doesn't it kind of make sense that if you want to be wealthy, do what wealthy people do? And that's exactly what I did. And the biggest one of that was gaining that specialized knowledge. Now, Warren Buffett talks about the 2 things that I want to make sure that we get clear here today. One is I'm going to show you how to minimize your taxes, and 2, how to grow your wealth. And that's what wealthy people do. Wealthy people know a process. They've learned how to have wealth strategies. How do you grow your income? So number 1 is they know how to lower their taxes, and they learn how to grow their money. Now, let's look at this whole wealth code and see exactly how this works. Number 1 is you want to stop trading time for money. Now, that's what my parents taught me how to do because that's all they knew how to do. I used to mow the yards, and I got about $3 an hour. When I was an air traffic controller, it was about $80 an hour. But the point was, if I didn't show up, I didn't get that $80 an hour. Neither did it work out when I was playing doctor. If I didn't show up, I didn't get paid. If I didn't trade my time for money, I didn't make anything. And it wasn't until we cracked this code about trading time for money. And that's what Warren Buffett talks about, is making your money work for you. The dynamic imaging, the MRI that ran 24 hours a day, made $400 an hour. Airplane company, $2,000 an hour. What do you think Warren Buffett makes an hour? Well, let me help you out. I don't know if you realize this, but he makes about $37 million a day. So the opportunities are there. Now, Warren talks about lowering taxes. So I want you the next thing I want to show you is about these taxes. Wealth building is an exact science. Lowering your taxes legally is part of that science. So let's look at this. On the left-hand side, you're going to see earned income, interest and dividends, short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains, deferred income, and you got rents and royalties and tax-free income. Now, the important thing I want you to know about this is look at the very top on the left-hand side. It says earned income. That's where 90% of Americans are at. If you pay Social Security tax, FICA taxes, Medicare, yada, 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 all these different taxes, you're in the highest tax bracket. You're in the earned income. And where we want to move to is down at the bottom, which is the tax-free income. Now look on the right-hand side. You'll see number 1 through 7, tax-free is at the top. That's what I'm going to show you today, is how do you grow your money tax-free. I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. But the point is that the IRS doesn't care which of these categories you choose. It's called a voluntary tax system. You get to choose which one. I'm going to recommend that you choose number 1, which is tax-free income, meaning that all of the income that you make off of your investments is 100% tax-free. Now let's take a moment and look at how devastating somebody who does pay taxes actually are. This is on the left-hand side is from 1913 when they first passed the taxes all the way up to 2012. You remember they first started to talk about raising the taxes, they said, oh, we're only going to tax the wealthy. Does that sound familiar? That's exactly why the income tax was there to start, was we wanted the wealthy people to pay their fair share. Now let's take a look at 1927. The taxes were up about 28%. Now look all the way down to 1955. There were over 90% of your income went to taxes. Currently, we're at about 40%. Now, where do you think taxes are going to go in the next few years? Let me help you out. I'll guarantee you they're going to go up. So if we can take our income and grow it tax-free, what do you think that does for your overall wealth? Let me show you a diagram which will demonstrate that for you. On the left-hand side, you'll see numbers 1 through 20. In the beginning of the year, we're going to make us $1, and at the end of the year, we have $2. Now, we're going to take $1 turning into $2. That's 100% return. Now, you might be thinking, Rick, I don't know how to make 100% on my money. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So bear with us for just a minute. So we're going to take the 1 and the 2, 2 and the 4, 4 and 8. You can see at the very bottom right, you're over $1 million. That's $1,048,576 if you can grow your money 100% return with no taxes. And we're going to go over that in just a moment. Now let's look at the same thing, but let's pay the taxes. Now look in the top, you'll see up there number 1, we again start with $1, just like we did before. At the end of the year, we got $2. The difference between the 1 and 2 is called a gain. We've gained $1 in profit. Now, if you're in the 40% tax bracket, which it currently is, that's 40 cents. That's $1.60 at the end of the year instead of $2. Second year, instead of starting with $2, we start with $1.60. 320, as you can see, now we got $1.60 gain. It pays 64 cents tax, and now you're only at $2.56. Now, let's see what this looks at overall, what this will do for you. Look in the bottom right-hand corner circled in red. The same 20 times at 100% return, but this time we taxed it every time, you're at $12,089.27 versus $1,048,576. This is how devastating taxes are to your retirement. Now, folks, you have a choice here. You can choose to pay the 40%, and at the end of the day, you're going to have $12,089.27. Or you can choose what the IRS calls tax-free income at $1,048,576. It's your choice. I'm going to recommend that you choose the $1 Million program. Now, how do we do this? Write this down. This is the answer. This is truly the goose that laid the golden egg. It's called a Roth, R-O-T-H. And how it works is you pay the tax up front, you put the money into the Roth, and then any investments that you make inside the Roth are 100% tax-free. Now, there are individual Roths and there are 401k Roths. A 401k Roth is different than a 401k. So you can talk to your tax professionals about that, but I highly recommend that you get you and your family, each of you, into a Roth. That means that you, your spouse, your children, each of them can have a Roth. Austin started his Roth when he was 13 years old. He's now 19. He can pay for any college that he'd like to go to. So make sure that you get your Roth. Also with the Roth, you have an opportunity to actually pay your children out of your business that actually lowers your income tax and goes to them tax-free. So it's 100% write-off for you, but the money actually gets to go to the kids. So that's something you should look into also. The second thing Warren Buffett talked about specifically was, now that we've saved money on our taxes, we've got to grow our income. Now let's take for a moment and let's just take a simple $5 a day multiplied over 30 days is approximately $165 total. Now, I don't care who you are, if you're a beggar on the street or who you are, that you've got $5 a day you can put away. So let's take a look at what $5 a day does for us. Again, it's approximately $165. Look at the bottom. You'll see a zero. The next column, the years, 25 years. If you didn't make any interest on your money, it would be $49,000. If we made 3%, it'd be $73,000. 6%, $114,000, and so on and so on. But look at this. If you made a simple 10% a year, which some people said that they have in the past off things like mutual funds, you have $218,000. Look at the difference between that and the $49,000 for zero. But let's look a little further. What happens if you knew how to make 20% or 25%? Look at 25%. That's $3.8 million. Isn't that a little better than starting out with the 49? Same thing. The only difference is the specialized knowledge of earning zero interest all the way up to 25. If you have the specialized knowledge, it makes a huge difference. Now, what I'd like for you to do, I'm going to do a poll, if you would. Now, this is a live poll, so you can actually push any of the options that you see here on the screen. If you would, take a moment and press one for me. What do you think would be a safe, achievable return? Just click on one of the buttons there, 0 to 5%. Is that a safe return? Is that achievable? How about 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 50, or 50 and above? What do you feel? Just take a moment and just click one. You only have to do it one time and submit on whatever you think would be appropriate. So take just a second, click one and hit the submit button. Okay, I think we got a couple more people still trying to decide, so let's take just a moment. Okay, all right, now I want you to see the results. Here's what it looks like. So 36% of people said that they believe that 5 to 10% is a safe, achievable return. And we even have some people down there at 32% think 20 to 50%, and 11% thought that it was 50 or above. Well, what I'm going to show you here today is how you can make a safe, achievable returns that are well above 100%. So let's take a moment and let's continue with our lesson here. And here's what we're going to see. I want you to take a piece of paper and draw 4 vertical lines, 4 columns, just like you see. Now, if you have lined paper, that's okay. Just draw 11 lines across that 11 paper or count down, that's fine. All the way across the bottom. There'll be approximately 11 lines to the bottom. And then across the top, I want you to put year, second column amount, yield, and results. And then I want you on the left side, go 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1. Because I want to show you what's happened over the last 10 years. Everybody can remember where they were 10 years ago, probably. So let's start out with last year. Then it goes down to 2, 12, 2, 11, 10, 9, all the way down to the number 1 10 years ago of 204. Now, under amount, I want to start with $2,000. Now, where did we get the $2,000? Remember the 165 we were putting away a month? Well, times that 12, and it comes out pretty close to $2,000. So remember, they talked about in the laws of success that we have to be disciplined. So we're going to put away that $5 a day, which gives us approximately $2,000 a year, and we're going to make 100% on the money, which I'll show you in a few minutes. Makes you $4,000. Now, in our Roth, that's going to be 100% tax-free. Now we take 4,000 plus our original 2 gives us 6. At 100 gives us 12. Now 12 plus 2 at 100 gives us 28. And you can see as we go up, we're still putting in $2,000 each time. Now, when we're sitting here at year 8 and we've got $1 million, why are we still putting $2,000 a year away? And the answer is discipline. Discipline is one of the keys to being financially independent in a very short period of time. Now look at year 9, we're over $1 million, but we're still putting our $2,000 away. You're over $2 million. At the end of 10 years, you're over $4 million. Now, where are you going to be in the next 10 years? I mean, you're going to be 10 years older. I would suggest, why don't we try to get some specialized knowledge here, and let's become extremely wealthy. Now, let's look at some of the richest people in the world, and what are the common denominators? Now, if you look here on Forbes 400 most richest people, you've got Warren Buffett and Jay-Z. Could you pick 2 more opposite people? Now, other than the fact that they're both wearing a suit, what's the common denominator with Warren Buffett and Jay-Z? Well, if you look on the top 10, which is the slide that you have in front of you, you have Bill Gates all the way down to Michael Bloomberg in the top 10. The common denominator is all of these people have the same system for building wealth. The number 1 wealth building strategy that you see in the top 10 wealthiest people is stocks and options. Now, some of you may say, well, Rick, I lost money in stocks. It's okay to lose money in stocks. You're always going to lose some, just a little bit. But with the proper specialized knowledge, you know how to control your risk. That's the difference between being a multi-hundredaire or a multi-millionaire, is becoming to control your risk. That's the trick. So let me show you how this works. On a stock cycle, on the first comes out, it's called embryonic. Some people might have heard of it as an IPO or initial public offering, but then stocks grow, then they go sideways, they mature, and they actually go down in value. I'm going to show you how to make money as stocks go up or go down today. So let's look at this stock here. This was AGQ on a daily chart. Each one of these little bars are a daily. I want to show you here what our system did and where it told us specifically to get in, where you'll see the blue arrows, and then it told us specifically where do we want to get out. And in order to do that, that's 100 points in a 3-month period, just by having the specialized knowledge on where to get in and where to get out. But as I just showed you on the previous chart, you can make money when the stock goes down as well. And most people don't realize, but stocks fall about 5 times faster than they go up. And that term is called shorting. Shorting a stock. You might want to write that down. Shorting the stock. So let's see what happens if we were to short the stock to the downside. So up, sideways, and down. Now let's short the same stock. Remember, we just went to the upside for 100 points times 1,000 shares is $100,000. But look what happens on our short signal. We make another 100 points to the downside. So in a 4-month period, we had a $200,000 opportunity here. That's what I want you to see. We make money when the market goes up. We have opportunities to make money when the market goes down. Now, we have to find our stocks. That's one of the tricks we have to do. So there are key indicators that we want to look for. Now, some of you may have heard of cloud stocks, C-L-O-U-D, cloud. Cloud stocks are basically big hard drives that companies have, like F5 has them, IBM, Amazon, Microsoft, all kinds of different people use these huge storage banks so that you on your smartphone can access them. Well, let's take a look at those particular cloud stocks and see what they've done over the last short year or two. So here's VMware was up 74%, Akamai is up 84%, CRM 91, FF5E, the one I just showed you, F5 136, and look at Riverbed, RVBD, is 312%. That's a total of 697%. Remember a minute ago when I was showing you that if you made 100% on your money a year, how wealthy you'd be in a short amount of time? Well, what if you had an opportunity to get almost 700% a year? That's what the stock market does. People always look at it and they go, oh, it's up, oh, it's down, oh, it's up, oh, it's down. That's what we want. The more volatility, the more money opportunities that we have. Now let's take a look at one of my students had sent me here recently on Amazon. Here were the signals that told him to buy. Went up a little over a month. Here were the sell signals told him to sell. And he made 20 points or $20,000 in that 2-month period. Now the question is, did you have that same specialized knowledge to know to do that and make that same amount? If you have the specialized knowledge, the opportunities are right in front of you. Now some of you may have heard of a company called Apple. Let's look at opportunities there. Again, here's our signals for buying all the way up to selling. And that's 90 points. Then we had the same thing to the downside. Again, we make money to the downside. Here's our signals to go back to the upside. Now look at the total. We've got up 90 points, down 135, back up over a 4-month period. That's 255 points. Again, based on 1,000 shares, that's $255,000 in a 4-month period. That's the opportunities that you have if you'll just simply take the time to learn what I'm trying to show you here. Now, let's take another. Everybody ever heard of Google? Look where Google has buy signals here. All the way up, 170 points, down. Remember, make money short to the downside. Down 100 points, Google back up. To the upside, another 50 points. That's 320 points in about a 4-month period. Again, $320,000. Now, how long does it take you to get to your retirement when you've got AGQ up 200 I just showed you? The one that my student made 20 on, Apple at 225, 320, a total of 775. And based on 1,000 shares, that's $765,000. Folks, how quick is it going to get you to your retirement? And that's just in 1 year. These are the opportunities that are here if you'll simply take the time to learn it. Now let me show you the whole process right here. You can write this down. This is the process that we just used that I just showed you. Number one, the trading process. Remember FF5E, I showed you that newspaper article? That's what we call our stock watch list, because you got to have a list of stocks to watch so that we know when to apply the proper strategy to those stocks. Now we have to pick a stock out of that watch list that meet the criteria, just like I showed you with Amazon, Apple, and Google. Then we're going to make a decision after we analyze it. Are we going to buy the stock, or are we going to do the short that I showed you? Sometimes we'll buy, and then sometimes we'll short, and then we just repeat the process. Folks, that's the trading process. If you will make sure that you follow this and be disciplined about it, you will have a lot of opportunity to become wealthy in a very short period of time. So now let's take a look at our next Forbes. Forbes came out, this is the cover article that was on Forbes. It says, get rich from Obamacare. Now, I'm not here to make a political statement, whether you agree or don't agree with Obamacare or President Obama. What I'm telling you is there are business decisions that you can make that give you great investment opportunities if you just will take the time and learn some specialized knowledge. Now, let's take one for an example. This is Celgene. If you look in the top left corner, Top right corner, you'll see this is back in January. You've got buy signals right here up to the upside, and this is in less than a month. In 12 days, you got 18 points, or again, $18,000. That's a 22% return on your money in less than a month. Now, most of you, when you took my poll a few minutes ago, you said, yeah, I could see an opportunity of possibly being achievable of 22%. Now, let's look at it just a little time later here. Same stock. Remember where we just bought it here, and it came up and gave us the opportunity at 22%. Now look at it over a 4-month period. That's 40 points. So we went from that 18 to 40. So from 18,000, we went all the way up. Now, when we went all the way up to 50%, that return on your money, you can now start to see that there are opportunities for 50% or better on your return. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Mike and Lori Patton from Minnesota. If you'll take just a moment, this is a recording that they sent me on my cell phone, and I had to take it off my cell phone to put it on the presentation here today. So bear with me just a moment. It'll take me a few seconds to transfer over so that you can actually hear what Mike sent me on my cell phone, the message you left me. Okay, so bear with me 1 second.
Hey, Rick, this is Mike Patton. Hey, I just wanted to call and let you know that I started your program back in September, October area, and, since then I started live trading the 1st of November, and as of today, my account's up 120%, and just wanted to say thank you. This stuff is great, and just really appreciate it. It's a good program. I'm glad I did it. I know I was extremely skeptical at first, but just wanted to call and say thanks. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. So thanks for bearing with me there. But I wanted to show you, here was somebody, Mike and Laura Patton, had never had any stock trading experience, had never at all looked at it, but he knew that he needed to do something about his retirement. So as he said, he was skeptical at first because he didn't have the specialized knowledge. But remember, before we were growing our money at 100%, he's up over 120% and is growing his money tremendously quick. So now I'd like to take the next person, if I could. This is Dr. Manna, and I think Dr. Manna is here with us live. If we're lucky, this will work out. Dr. Bob, are you there?
I'm here, Rick. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Dr. Bob, could you take a minute and tell people maybe your story and where you're at today, and just your thoughts maybe from a student's point of view?
Sure. Let's see. Back in 2008, when we went through the Great Depression, I lost about 55% of everything I owned in the market. And it was scary. I mean, I didn't know what to do, and I thought I knew how to invest, and I quickly found out I didn't know. So I lost half of everything. I was panicked. I couldn't sleep at night. It was a really scary time. That's so happens to be when I met you, and we got to talking. I took your course, and the first thing I did was I analyzed my accounts, and I quickly figured out not only wouldn't I have lost 50%, I would have made about 80% like you did in that year, 2008, using your methods to short stocks. But these days, I got all the money back and more using Rick's methods. My average trades these days are about 40–50% in about 4 days. That would be my average. I've made up to 337% on some of these trades that Rick has taught me how to do. It's been phenomenal, and the big thing is I don't fear losing money anymore. It's just not going to happen because of all the safeguards in Rick's program. It's very safe. A couple of years ago, Rick needed some help at his seminar in Atlanta, so I took my assistant, Kelly, and she learned how to trade at the seminar. And that's one good thing. Rick allows you to take, your spouse and your older children with you to the seminars at no extra charge. But anyway, I think Kelly's on the line. and she's going to talk about her experience. Are you there, Kelly?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
My story actually is quite different than Dr. Manna's and Rick's because, like Dr. Manna said, until a few years ago, I had never had any experience in the stock market. So I went to the Atlanta seminar to help Peggy out and liked what I heard. I started studying Rick's system. And then, honestly, I was still fearful and scared at first. But I did soon realize that the checklist system absolutely takes the fear, the emotion, and the guesswork out of trading. In one of my favorite trades, I watched for a stock that fit the parameters of the system for buying calls, waited till it was ready to trade, bought it, and in 2 days I made 37%. And I'm just so excited that I'm able to grow my retirement money myself. I don't have to hope that the government will have something left to take care of me when I'm older. I now, thanks to Rick, have the specialized knowledge to do that myself. And I also did want to say, too, that when I first started, I was worried about the amount of time it would take in the evenings. I work, I'm a wife, a mom, and like everybody else, I just don't have a lot of extra time at the end of the day. But after the initial time put into learning the system, I'm happy to tell you that it does only take about 10 minutes after work to look over my watch list and make my decisions for the next day. And a very cool thing now is that my husband is trading with me, so we have a ball every night after supper going over the watch list, making our decisions for the next day. So we're having a great time doing this together. So Rick, thank you, and God bless you. My family and I are very grateful. Since I started your program, my life and that of my family has changed for the better. So thank you so much.
Well, Kelly, thank you. And Dr. Bob, thank you. And I know you guys are busy. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come on today and do that live. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm excited for both of you guys. That's why I do what I do, is to make sure that we improve people's lives so that that they too can have multiple generations and of wealth, and they don't have to rely on the government anymore. Here's Dr. Bob from New Jersey. It says, I just wanted to take a few moments and express my gratitude to you for your program and the amazing support you provide. It's not often that you find someone is as committed to their student success as you are. I have doubled my account, and I believe that I'm just warming up. There's no doubt in my mind that you have changed my financial future and my life forever, and I owe you a debt of gratitude. Thanks again. Now, Bob recently got married and took a very nice vacation just off of the money that he had made because he has the specialized knowledge now. He knows what to do. Here is somebody you guys might recognize. This is Dr. Andy and his family, and it says, since I took Rick's course, I've restored my SEP, that's a self-employment program. He says, I've doubled my children's college account, and I've tripled the value of my personal portfolio, and that's in the last 6 months. Why was he able to do that? Because he had specialized knowledge. He used the checklist that I give him, and he followed the checklist. See, a lot of people don't realize that I'm a pilot. And as a pilot, one of the things you do, even though you have thousands of hours flying, if you ever fly on a commercial jet, you ever notice in the cockpit they're always flipping papers as you're going back to your seat? Well, those papers they're flipping are checklists. And even though those pilots are all certified by the FAA and they've got thousands of hours, every time they get in the plane, they follow a checklist. And the reason for that is to keep you from making mistakes. And I took that same specialized knowledge I learned as a pilot and I applied it to my investing, and holy cow, did it ever take off. Because now it reduced the chances of me making mistakes by using a checklist. Now, some of you may or may not remember Dr. Andy here, but he was recently on Dr. Oz on television. And also, Dr. Andy's family lost a lot of money with a guy called Bernie Madoff that you may remember. So now he has specialized knowledge. He doesn't have to worry about the Bernie Madoffs of the world. He can take care of his own finances. And if you notice his family here, he's got 2 beautiful boys. He's now going to teach that system to them when they're the proper age. So what I want you to understand is if you'll simply take the time and learn our system, you have an opportunity to do quite well. You know, wealthy people know a process like we talked about earlier. And the 2 processes that we learned today was how to lower your taxes. Now let me ask you, what did you learn today on how to lower your taxes legally? The government program is called what? It's called a Roth. Remember that? Secondly, we talked about how to grow our income. What is the number one way to grow our income? What did we just learn? It's stock and options. There's nothing difficult about it. I have taken a system of something that was complicated and broke it down for people who have never in their life invested. It's a matter of simply taking the time to learn it. Now, what if you had that opportunity, like I just showed you, that you could take in 1 year and make $765,000 or even more? There are years that there's even more out there. How long would that take you to actually get up on your retirement? Do you think, look at this, you could, instead of starting at 1 year at 2,000, it could move you all the way up to year 7 just off your first year. And if you'll indulge with me one more time, I want to show you a student that recently had an opportunity similar to that. We did a class in Philadelphia. This is Amazon. And we had our signals here that told us where specifically to buy. And during the class in Philadelphia, the stock was approximately right there where you see the black arrow. Well, there in the class, we told specifically where to buy, and I'd like to show you one more student at what happened when he knew exactly where to go. And that was 23 points or 8% return in about a month. Now, Mike, he says, I just want to thank you so much for a life-changing seminar you did last week. That was the Philly class I was just showing you. That was the trade that he made. It says, there were no headaches, just press a button on the computer from anywhere in the world, and the money is in your account, and it's ready to use. He goes, I got it. I understood it. He says, I used it and made over $3,000 cash flow income for this month using less than $50,000. I am finally excited about my financial future. Folks, he's in control. And that's the whole game, is how do I control my finances? This is things that my parents did not teach me, not because they were bad parents, they simply didn't know. Mike didn't know this, and now he has it for him and his family, as you just heard from Dr. Bob as well as from Kelly. Now, I've got one more survey, if you'll indulge me 1 second here. Here's what I'd like for you to do. Take one more poll for me. It'll take just a minute. And from what you've learned here today, when do you think would be the right time to get started? Now, do you think you should wait till the age of 65, like I did with my mom and dad? Remember, I took their $700,000 and we turned that over $2 million. My parents didn't start till they were 65. Or do you think you should start when I did? I started at the age of 35. Or do you think maybe beginning early, like Austin did at the age of 13? Or how about if you started today? Do you think, where are you going to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I guarantee you're going to be 3 to 5 years older. The question is, are you going to be a multi-hundredaire or a multi-millionaire? I would hope that you would want to be a multi-millionaire. That's what I would hope for each and every one of you. So I want you to look now at the survey that you just filled out. I asked you, when do you think would be the right time to get started? And over 90% of you had said today. Well, congratulations. You now have an opportunity to become wealthy. You've made the right decision. Now let me show you what I've put together here. I call what I call the fast track wealth system. Now, if you look in the bottom right corner, that's from one of our recent classes we did. I try to limit my classes to 100 people or less at the classes when everybody comes together. And the reason I try to do that is because it's a workshop environment. You get to ask questions, you interact, and we have a lot of fun. But let me show you what we do. I give you a checklist that makes the wealth process simple. Follow the checklist. I have thousands of hours. I can fly hot air balloons, helicopters, airplanes. Yet every vehicle I get into, if I'm going to get off the ground, I use my checklist because I have a lot less chance of something going wrong. And it really made my finances very simple when I developed this checklist. Secondly, we have 4 hours of online videos. That means they're self-paced for you and your family. You can start and stop them anytime that you want. And it's, like I said, it's for your entire family, your mom and your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your siblings, your children, when you think they're appropriate age. People ask, well, Rick, when should I start showing this to my children? When those kids start asking you for money, show them how to make their own money. You know, the American dream used to be to own your own home. The new American dream is hope your freaking kids don't come back home. You know, Austin's 19 years old, like I was telling you, has more money than probably 90% of Americans. He doesn't ask me for money. He knows how to make money. So you can take these online videos and enter at a self-paced. Attend a live class if you would like. You don't have to. Everything's online, but if the classes are fun, but we just have a good time. That's the best way as I can say it. Next, it takes about 10 to 15 hours to implement. So after you watch your online videos, you get to practice. We do what's called virtual trading, where you don't use real money. You actually go through all the mechanical processes in a simulator, and you learn how the process is done. Once you learn the process, then that's all you have to do is change over to real money. It takes about 10 minutes a day. Now remember, this is not day trading. This is the EOD, or end of day system. This does not interfere with your profession. At the end of the day, when you're done working, you pull out the checklist and look and see if the stocks meet the criteria to stay in. If they do, you put them away. If they don't, you turn around and sell them the next day and take the profit. Now, this is not day trading. It's EOD, end of day. Next, I do not charge for consultations, and I don't charge for coaching. And I will give you my direct access to my cell and my direct email. So if you have any questions, you can call me on the cell or email. I want you and your family to do very well. Now, here's a question I want to ask you. With all of this and access to me that I don't charge for, what do you think something like this would be worth? I want to show you something. I went to college. Austin at this point has chose not to go to college because he makes more money than if he went to college. But let's just take a look for a moment. Steve found these facts, and I thought they were quite interesting. Look at the cost of the fast track wealth system versus the cost of college, and I make more money now than I ever did from my college education. But look at the cost of this. The first one is $249,144 for a business degree from the University of Pennsylvania. That's almost $250,000. Before you make a dime. How about this one? $233,860 for an art major school at the Art Institute of Chicago. I don't know if you're drawing figurines or what you're doing, but again, for $250,000, you're 250 grand in the hole. And look at this, $248,980 to be a film major at the University of Southern California. Seriously? I mean, and I make more than all of that combined without having to use a college degree. For the fast track wealth system, I'm going to educate your entire family. This is an unlimited membership. It is lifetime for you and your family, and it's $3,995. That's $3,995 for your entire family. You remember the graph I showed you on the right? You have a choice now. You're educated. I showed you the specialized knowledge. You can do like my mom and dad and work for the next 30 years and save up a measly $700,000. Or how about let's learn some specialized knowledge that give you more opportunities than that, and you can make it in a shorter period of time.